Hi everybody, my name is Roman and it's Marketing Watch House. And today we're going to talk about UTM Parameters. So UTM Parameters is something that marketeers all over the world use to track the traffic from advertising. Or another way, to understand how much you pay and how much you get out of people you got to your site. The problem is when you do Google advertising or any other advertising, you cannot actually understand when people buy something on your site, do they come from Google, from Bing, or just from your, postcard? To understand that, people use UTM params or other ways to mark people. So when they come to your site, they have a label on them. For example, that guy came from that keyword, from that campaign, and from that ad group. So that's why we use the UTM params or tracking parameters, as usually call them. But before I will show you how we do them and how we should write them, I want to talk a little bit about how they work. Parameters at all. To do that, let's have a look on one link. This link is a fake link, but it actually represents something that we wanted to talk about. So we have http google.com/settings language equals English and location equals UK. So let's take part after the part and discuss what it is. You don't have to know by heart all technical stuff here, but you should understand how it actually works. So HTTP is something that defines a language. This is language that your computer talks to server of Google or any other site. It can be HTTP, HTTPS, or FTP, or if you send email, it looks exactly like that, but it uses SMTP. You just don't know, you just don't see that, but actually happening. So when you go to your browser, for example, to Internet Explorer, Safari, or Chrome, and type site, every site you're going to open is by default HTTP or HTTPS. So this is the language. Then google.com is the site, the domain. That's the easy one. But then you have a dash and we have settings. Settings is something that is located inside google.com. It can be settings or search or Google Ads or Google Analytics. Anything, actually anything. It's just a part inside the domain. Then we have a question mark. And question mark is the most interesting part here because question mark is when the parameter starts. And we have two parameters here. One is language, that is equals to EN, and one is location, that is equals to UK. So let's simplify this situation. Imagine you have a delivery guy that wants to deliver you something, some goods. He has to find the site. He has to find your house. So he has a street name and the house number. Street name and the house number is google.com. Then he has to find your flat inside this huge building, or he has to find your name inside the big parent's house, doesn't actually matter. Something that is located inside the house, it is settings. He also needs to give you a package and to ask you to sign the doc, sign the papers that you actually received it. To do that, he has to ask you something. This is HTTP, so the language. Because I guess it's difficult for him to ask me in Chinese because I don't speak Chinese, or for you it's difficult to answer in Russian, for example, because you most probably don't speak Russian. That makes sense. And you also have some science on the package you have. For example, it's from Amazon, that's the sales company, and it contains 2 kilo package inside. That's the weight. So the weight and the package shop is actually parameters in our case. The beauty of the parameters is that you can pass as many parameters to any site on the world, and they will most probably won't break. The same, you can write anything on the package. It doesn't mean that I will read it because I'm interested in something that inside, but I probably will read them if I expect them. This link is absolutely fake, but if you go to google.com/, then you put a question mark and write something like coffee equals true, you will still get the Google results, but nothing will change. So parameters give some additional information to the site, but they can be written in any way, and site does not guarantee you that he will go through them and take them into account. Because, for example, in this particular case, google.com/settings doesn't actually have a parameter language. I just made it up. So it will ignore it. It will go there, I will write it on a package, but Google will ignore it. So, anytime you write any amount of params, site should know whether he wants to treat them or not. And all params starts with a question mark. Question mark can be only one in the very beginning, because everything else is address and language to talk. Everything on the left is address and language to talk to your site. Everything on the right is additional information that should be passed to the site. In this particular case, we have 3 params. All the params should be separated with the and sign, and the question mark should be in the beginning. The param name is to the left of equal sign, and the param value, something you actually wanted to set up, for example, English, UK, or Roman equals the best, so something on the right of equals is the actual value. Now we know what is the param, and why do we need to know so much information, you can ask, like, it's so technical. Actually, no. If you wanted to make your Google advertising or any other advertising really good, you need to know some technical knowledge. This is very crucial because in a lot of cases, people just copy the one-click solution from somewhere, and then they don't understand why it doesn't work or why the site is broken. The thing is, some sites in the world cannot take params if they don't know what to do with them. And when you go to UTM params, you always should check manually first if the link with the UTM params that you wrote actually working. Okay, let's move on. When you can give any parameters to your site, that means that you actually can pass some information about your advertising. Because when people come from Google Ads from 2 different keywords, by default, they are absolutely equal for your site. Because Google does not give you information about the keyword, campaign, or ad group. But you can actually add this information inside your final URL or final link. You can, for example, mysite.com/, campaign equals Mercedes, and type equals search. The problem is that not only I have to do something with my site, so my site will record that the campaign is Mercedes and type is search, because by default my site will just ignore it. For example, YouTube will just ignore it. It's also very difficult and complicated because I would write that campaign is a Mercedes, but my friend or my colleague will definitely make a type Mercedes because it's a type of a car, and campaign is search because it's also, it can be display or it can be CPA or anything else, or email marketing. And that makes things really confusing because each person have their own understanding how to name these params and how to put information about them, like how to cluster them. And you also have to do you also have to write some custom solution on your site that will treat this, like what is a campaign, what is a type, how to store it. To make it clear, easy and comfortable, people, very clever people, invented a standard. And moreover, they put this standard in all popular advertising systems around the world. This thing is supported by Baidu, by Yandex, by Bing, by Google, by Never, by a lot of different search engines. And this is something that is very standard, and you can actually use this, and you will use it the same way I will use it, so there is no confusion about how to write stuff. So we have 5 parameters. They are all independent, but they all should have the same name as it's written here in the list. So you can't write just medium. You should write UTM_medium equals. And then you have a list of possible variables. So all of these params represent something. It doesn't actually mean that you should write exactly how it's written here, because it's absolutely up to you. Important part that when you do that and you install Google Analytics on your site, Google Analytics will pick up medium source campaign content and term as a default campaign information from any advertising system in the world. So you can structure, you can see the results, you can check the conversions, you can check what's happening with the traffic that you're actually paying for on your site. But I strictly recommend you to have 3 conversions when you do these params. I strictly recommend you to make UTM source, Google, Bing, FB, Inst, or anything with this way. Do not try to make it Google search or Bing search, just Bing or just Google. This is just the name of advertising system that you use as a source. UTM medium should be equals to how you pay for the clicks or anything else on that system. For example, in Google advertising, you pay for clicks, so it's CPC. It's the standardized name for that, cost per click. You also can buy some display, that would be CPM, or you can do email, or you can pay for action, and you can Google and find a lot of different variants of writing that. But the cool part, if you go tomorrow to the agency or to Cool Freelancer or ask a colleague to check your campaigns, if you write there Google CPC, everybody will understand that it's Google Ads, and there will be no confusion about this at all. You also need to be sure that the 5th element, UTM term, stands for the targeting method. For something that you use as a source to bring you something that you use like a reason why you pay for these clients. For example, it's a keyword in Google Ads, or it might be a list in your email campaign, the list of email addresses, or it can be anything else. For example, audience in Google Display Network. UTM campaign and UTM content are not standardized, so you can put anything there as you want. Just remember about naming convention I asked you in previous video. Try to name them the same way across all the campaigns, so that will be very easy to analyze. But you can actually put there anything at all. The cool part that when you do Google advertising, you need to fill only UTM campaign and content, and you can put UTM medium and UTM source as a constant values, because it's always CPC Google if you do search, or CPM Google if you do display. And you also can use UTM term equals keyword for search, and it will put your keyword there, actual keyword that you have in your Google Ads with a match type and all information just there automatically. The only thing it cannot put there is a group name and campaign name. You can have to fill it manually. So if you don't actually know and you don't want to do a lot of things with the question mark and signs, you just, when you do your Google Ads campaign, you just copy the link to your landing page, to your site, go to the link that is below this video or in this presentation, and just go through the steps. It will ask you what is medium, is it CPC, is it source Google, you name your campaign, you name your content, and it will automatically generate the complete view of this. Very easy and very simple. Let's have a look. So this is the site. I just do mysite.com catalog, I don't know, Mercedes. I made it up, but you have to use the actual one. Then we have a campaign source, which is Google, and it tells you that campaign source is very, very important. It's very crucial, so please put it in. But actually, your campaign medium is very important. I use Google Ads. Campaign name, for example, Mercedes, sorry. Not the best typing today. Mercedes-Benz new exact, and campaign term would be keyword. I don't want to actually do it manually. Campaign content, what is it about? For example, it's about, I don't know, I won't feel it. I'm just lazy today. So that's the final URL I have to use. It contains all the question marks, all and signs, all everything in the correct order. The only thing you have to do is copy this, go to your site and check if it's actually working. So let's come back to presentation, and actually that's all I wanted to say here. It's a little bit complicated as usual, but Google Ads and professional advertising, something that you have to do from the first step, very, very good, because this is your money. This is the most important in the internet that you can do for your business, is to acquire new users. And when you do that, you have to give a track of everything you spend money on and to control how it behaves on your site. So I will show you how to control it, but before we get there, the very first step is UTM Parameters. So if you have any questions, leave in the section below, subscribe to this video, and don't forget to put like. Thank you very much. Bye bye.